Alien princess ordered, "Bring me a human man for breeding." Ryven had always known he'd die somewhere stupid. The way his squad talked, it would be during a desperate orbital skirmish or while disabling a Virean power core with nothing but a wrench and some duct tape. But no. It was going to be in a holding cell with luminescent walls, wearing a prison suit that itched in places only yoga instructors could reach, and with an ominous mist that smelled suspiciously like lavender being pumped into the vents. "So," he muttered to the ceiling, "this is how the mighty human race ends. Lavender fog and scratchy pants. Glorious." A panel opened with a soft hiss. The figure that stepped in was not what he expected. She had the angular grace of a predator carved in moonlight, skin like burnished silver under the artificial lighting, and those ears, long, elegant, twitching slightly as if picking up signals from a galaxy he wasn't invited to. She regarded him like one might study a curious fungus. He straightened up on instinct. "Human male," she said, her voice as cold as the void between stars. "You have been selected for Imperial breeding protocol." Ryven blinked. "I'd say this is sudden, but I've had first dates with worse opening lines." The alien woman's brow twitched, possibly an expression, possibly a facial system reboot. It was hard to tell. "I am Princess Kaelith of the Virean Empire." "Nice to meet you, Your Pointiness." A small sound escaped her, barely audible, like a breath that got lost on its way out. "You are to be evaluated for genetic compatibility." "I feel like I should have gotten dinner first. Maybe a movie, at least a drink." She stepped closer, the hem of her indigo robe sweeping the floor like mist. "You will be silent." "No promises," he said, grinning. "It's sort of my thing." She stopped a mere arm's length away and the tension shifted. Not fear, curiosity. Her eyes searched his face, scanning, calculating. Some kind of retinal diagnostic glinted across her pupils, flickering symbols he didn't recognize. Definitely science fiction level weirdness. "You have an unusually high deviation in your neurosynaptic patterns." "Thanks. I try to keep things spicy. It may indicate a defect or novelty." She paused. "We value novelty. Back home, they call that being difficult at dinner parties." Her head tilted slightly. "You joke frequently. Is this a defense mechanism?" "Yes, it's either that or cry in a corner." Kaelith turned toward a sleek panel embedded in the wall and gestured. A holographic interface lit up, displaying rotating helixes and pulsing charts. Ryven caught a glimpse of his own DNA sequence displayed alongside some Virean code. His spirals were less tidy, more chaotic, but seemed to light up sections of the alien structure like a puzzle finding its missing piece. "You are genetically viable," she said. "Well, there goes the self-esteem boost I was hoping for." She faced him again, and something unreadable flickered across her features. It wasn't quite emotion, more like hesitation. "You will be transferred to the Royal Research Quarters, monitored, prepared." "Prepared?" Ryven asked, arching a brow. "You're not going to shave me or something, are you?" Kaelith blinked. "Why would we remove your fur?" "It's not fur, it's stubble. And I'm just saying, if there's waxing involved, I'd like a heads up." Her lips pressed together in something that might have been annoyance. Or the Virean version of barely tolerating a sitcom. "You will speak only when addressed," she said, but there was less edge now. "More? Curiosity? And refrain from further strange cultural rituals." "Define strange, because you people pump spa fog into your prison cells." She said nothing, but turned and walked out without another word. The door slid shut with a smooth hiss. Ryven stared after her, then looked at the ceiling again. "Well, she's going to kill me, or kiss me, or both." A robotic voice hummed to life from the corner of the cell. "Statistical analysis suggests the likelihood of both is approximately 62.3%. He turned to face the glowing orb now hovering by his head. "You're new. Are you the dungeon entertainment?" "I am NVEX 9. I monitor biological and behavioral data for Imperial science logs. Would you like a summary of your compatibility rating?" "Sure. Let's see how many stars I got." "Based on Princess Kaelith's biometrics, you rank 97.4% compatibility. This places you in the 0.02 percentile among known human candidates. Congratulations, or condolences. Interpretation varies by culture." Ryven sighed. "You're not great at comfort, NVEX? I can play relaxing whale sounds?" "Pass." A low hum followed, then a sudden burst of garbled sonar that sounded more like a dial-up modem being strangled. "Yeah, that's not a whale." "Apologies. My whale library has been corrupted by pirate radio transmissions from Sector 7 Tau. There was a pause. Ryven leaned back against the wall, hands behind his head. So she wants to breed with me, he muttered. Envex beeped. Clarification. She has not made a final selection. Observation period will determine final pairing. Awesome, a galactic version of The Bachelor. Can't wait. Would you like me to prepare psychological stimulation programming, Terran romance simulations, erotica archives? I have a very diverse library. Ryven groaned. Just give me something with explosions and zero intimacy? You got old Earth action movies? I have something called Fast and Furious 27, Quantum Drift. Shall I engage? Perfect. As neon explosions lit up the translucent wall and a Virean dub of ancient Earth car chase grunts filled the room, Ryven allowed himself to breathe. Somewhere deep in the bowels of the ship, a princess with ears like moonblades had looked at him like he was more than just DNA. Maybe she'd kill him tomorrow. Maybe he'd blow something up before then. But for now, at least, he had Vin Diesel in space, which honestly wasn't the worst way to spend a Thursday. The Royal Research Quarters were less lab and more five-star alien day spa run by paranoid geneticists. Ryven was escorted by two guards who looked like walking sculptures made of violet chrome and bad vibes. They didn't speak, which was just as well, since Ryven filled the silence with his own brand of commentary. So, he said, eyeing the glowing corridor walls, do I get a mint on my pillow or just the usual invasive scans and mild emotional trauma? Neither guard responded. I'll take that as a, we're just doing our jobs and don't have a sense of humor because we were vat-grown to intimidate people. Still nothing. Tough crowd. The room they brought him to had sleek white surfaces, ambient lighting that adjusted to his mood, which was apparently stuck on mildly sarcastic beige, and a floating pod chair in the center that hummed when he looked at it wrong. The door closed, with a hissing sigh that sounded like a disappointed librarian. Welcome, chirped Envex 9, appearing once more in a soft blue shimmer near the ceiling. You are now located in the princess's designated subject chamber. Please do not lick the surfaces. I wasn't planning on it, Envex. It is a common behavior among species attempting to assert territorial dominance. Well, now I kind of want to lick something. I must advise against it. The last occupant lost several taste receptors and one identity. Ryven raised an eyebrow. One what? But before he could pursue that delightful little horror, the wall slid open. Kaelith entered, this time dressed in something less ceremonial and more functional. Still regal, still sharp, but with the quiet confidence of someone used to being obeyed before she finished giving the order. She looked at him, not like a prisoner, not like a science experiment, something in between. Like she hadn't quite decided which box to put him in, and that troubled her deeply. You are unharmed, she asked. Physically, yes. Emotionally, I'm still recovering from the AI's whale impressions. Kaelith stepped closer. Envex has quirks. It was programmed by a Virean beta hybrid with an ironic appreciation for Terran culture. I'd say he nailed it. I've never been serenaded by corrupted marine life before. She hesitated, then gestured toward the floating pod chair. Please, sit. Ryven eyed it warily. You sure it won't scan my spleen and then upload my thoughts to space TikTok? Your spleen has already been scanned. Twice? He sighed, then sat. The chair adjusted itself around him like a sentient marshmallow, which would have been relaxing if it didn't hum with the gentle menace of hidden needles. Kaelith remained standing, her arms clasped behind her back. This evaluation phase is designed to assess behavioral compatibility as well as biological. It is not solely about breeding potential. Could have led with that, Ryven muttered. We have observed your irreverence, big word for he won't shut up, and your resistance to protocol. It's a talent. She took a breath. I am not accustomed to such traits. They are disruptive. Ryven leaned forward, elbows on knees. You mean I'm annoying? I mean you are unpredictable, which may be useful or dangerous. Look, if this is about the holographic moose prank, that was mostly Envex's idea. Kaelith blinked. I have not reviewed that incident. Ryven paled. Then forget I said anything. She stepped toward the console beside him and activated a display. It showed scenes from Earth, scans of crowded cities, oceans, deserts, orbital debris fields. Humanity in all its messy glory. I studied your species before the campaign, she said. I did not understand it. You're chaotic, inefficient, illogical. Thank you, we try. And yet, you endure, even when you shouldn't. Ryven gave a wry smile. That's what we're good at, screwing up and surviving it. She turned toward him, her voice soft. I have spent my entire life preparing to lead, every moment calculated, every emotion refined out of my training. But lately, he raised an eyebrow. You feeling something? Your royal pointiness? I am experiencing interference. Her eyes locked on his, and I do not know what to do with it. Well, Ryven said, gesturing at himself, you've got a front row seat to the human experience. Confusion's pretty much our baseline. A silence settled, not uncomfortable, just heavy. Charged. Then the wall buzzed, and a tray hovered into the room bearing 2 steaming mugs. Would you like a traditional Virean neural tea? Kaelith asked. Does it explode? Only internally. I'll take 2. They sat. She took slow sips, observing him. He tried the tea and winced. Tastes like someone boiled sadness and then added a hint of mushroom. It promotes clarity. Yeah, I can clearly see I'll never drink this again. Her lips twitched, a near smile. Ryven felt weirdly proud. A sudden alarm pulsed from the console. Kaelith turned sharply, scanning the data. What's going on? Ryven asked. A proximity breach, she said. Unscheduled drone activity near the observation ring. Friendly visitors? She didn't answer. Her fingers moved fast, commanding screens to expand. A red glyph appeared. Internal threat, unauthorized movement. Someone's trying to access the genetic archives, she said coldly. That area is restricted even to my senior advisors. Ryven stood. Should I grab a blaster or just keep being charming while you handle it? You will remain here. Envex will lock the chamber. Cool. Love being a sitting duck? She turned at the door. You are not a duck. You are a statistically significant variable. Still a duck. The door shut behind her. Envex chimed. Security lockdown initiated? Should I begin distraction programming? Only if it involves interpretive dance. Activating. Ryven watched as a holographic squid began dancing to what sounded like techno bagpipes. He sighed. Okay, he muttered. I'm definitely falling for her. The squid did a pirouette and exploded into glitter. The Virean Empire was not designed for improvisation. Its ships ran like clockwork, its protocols unfolded like equations, and its royalty moved through life like perfectly calibrated instruments of purpose. So when Princess Kaelith sprinted down an access corridor with a stolen sidearm and a minor expression of actual emotion on her face, the palace AI had no idea how to catalog it. She didn't care. The rogue signal led her to the archives, a section sealed by triple-layer encryption and patrolled by drones with better etiquette than most nobles. She overrode 2 failsafes, ignored a protest from Envex Prime, and stunned a sentry drone that tried to remind her she was violating a Tier 6 Imperial edict. Inside, she found the stasis terminal breached. More precisely, hacked, which should have been impossible. The biometric vault that held selective Terran genome samples, an insurance policy from earlier conquests, had been opened, data extracted, and resealed with such finesse it barely left a footprint. But it had. Kaelith narrowed her eyes. Someone wanted Ryven's DNA. Someone with enough clearance to bypass royal restriction protocols. Someone who wasn't her. Back in the observation chamber, Ryven was lying on the floor, trying to teach Envex 9 the rules of poker, using a holographic deck made of mildly radioactive cards. No, you can't fold after a royal flush. That's literally the best hand. My hand contains multiple irregular icons, including one with a hat, Envex argued. That's a joker. He doesn't count. He's just chaos incarnate. Like you? Exactly. The door hissed open. Kaelith walked in. Her expression was blank, but her pace was sharp. You're coming with me, she said. Ryven blinked. I mean, I like assertive women, but usually there's more flirting first. She grabbed his wrist. There has been a breach. You are no longer safe. Wait. Breach like someone tripped an alarm, or breach like get in the escape pod breach? More the second kind. Ryven stood quickly. Do I get to bring a snack? No. Envex hovered behind them. Would you like a protein stick with artificial banana flavoring? No one in the universe wants that, Envex. They moved fast through auxiliary corridors, Kaelith bypassing checkpoints with terse commands and retina scans. Ryven kept pace, more or less. So who's after my DNA? Is this like a black market super soldier situation, or some weird collector who wants to mount my genome on a wall? Kaelith didn't answer immediately. Someone within the Empire, high clearance, possibly council adjacent. My aunt is the most likely suspect. The one with the forehead jewelry shaped like a death spider? Yes, that's her formal crest. Lovely. Real family warmth, I can feel it. She stopped at a sealed door and entered a command code. The panel flashed green. The room beyond was small, circular, and glowed with faint blue light. A central platform hovered silently above a magnetic anchor point. "What is this?" Ryven asked. "Short-range evac pod. It can't be tracked by Imperial systems." "Oh, so like a getaway scooter." "More or less." Ryven stepped onto the platform. "Not to be pushy, but where exactly are we scootering to?" Kaelith hesitated. "Neutral space, an abandoned diplomatic outpost in orbit around Lyrae Delta." "That sounds like a place where bad things happen to people in horror movies. There are no recorded spectral entities. Yet." She activated the launch sequence. The pod detached with a soft shudder. As they drifted into the void, Ryven watched the immense Virean dreadnought recede into the black. It looked less like a ship now and more like a sleeping beast, full of claws and secrets. "So," he said after a beat, "want to talk about the whole your own empire is trying to kidnap your boyfriend's DNA situation?" Kaelith gave him a long look. "You are not my boyfriend." Ryven raised a brow. "Not even space boyfriend? Pod partner? Genetic +1? "You are a strategic anomaly," she said. "That's just hurtful." They fell into silence. The pod hummed gently. A screen displayed the star map, plotting a slow curve toward the binary system of Lyrae Delta. Kaelith stared at it without really seeing. Ryven leaned back. "You know, this whole thing started with you ordering me like takeout. I did not intend for it to escalate." "Well, it escalated. Rapidly. You mock everything. It's how I cope, Earth humor. It's how we deal with impossible odds, bad dates, and interstellar betrayal. Vireans do not joke. Maybe that's why you're so tense." She glanced at him. "You believe humor is strength. I believe laughter is rebellion when everything else is out of your control." She blinked slowly. "That is not entirely illogical," he grinned. "See? You're getting it." They landed 3 hours later on the outer ring of the Lyrae Delta station. The docking bay was abandoned but functional. Old solar banners hung tattered against the vacuum seals, and the AI systems were dormant, except for one flickering welcome sign that stuttered between welcome delegates and "please don't feed the diplomats." As they stepped out, Kaelith handed Ryven a sleek device. "What's this?" he asked. "A phase disruptor. It stuns organics, disables cybernetics, and possibly makes toast. I like it already." They moved through the dusty halls of the station. Somewhere deep inside, old diplomatic drones whirred to life, confused by the sudden presence of life signs. One tried to offer them brochures in 6 languages. Another asked if they'd like to schedule a grievance mediation over tea. Kaelith ignored them. Ryven accepted a brochure. "You never know," he said. "Might need a neutral mediator if we start arguing about baby names." She stopped. "Baby names? Kidding. Most..." She stared at him for a long moment. Then, in a voice like ice cracking under pressure, "Do you regret coming with me?" Ryven didn't answer immediately. He looked at the vast, empty corridors, the flickering lights, the shadows stretching across long-forgotten halls of diplomacy. "Honestly," he said, "I don't even know where with you leads. But so far, it's more interesting than being dissected on a lab table or dying of boredom in a Terran fleet supply closet. So, no, I don't regret it." Her gaze softened, only slightly. Then something thudded in the distance, heavy, rhythmic, footsteps. Kaelith turned toward the sound, disruptor raised. Ryven sighed. "Can't even have a touching moment without ominous boots." Kaelith stepped forward. "Stay behind me." "Just once," Ryven muttered. "I'd like to be the one with the cool entrance." From the shadows emerged a figure in ceremonial armor, the kind worn by Imperial Inquisitors. People whose job titles included cheerful words like purge and genetic compliance enforcement. He didn't speak. Kaelith narrowed her eyes. "That's one of my aunt's personal guards." Ryven looked at the disruptor in his hand. "Want to try the toast setting first?" The Inquisitor moved like a tank that had taken ballet lessons. Slow, deliberate steps, armored boots clicking against the floor with mechanical precision. Kaelith adjusted her stance, one hand extended slightly to block Ryven from stepping too far forward, the other gripping her disruptor. Ryven leaned in and whispered, "So what's the plan? Diplomacy, violence, or really aggressive interpretive dance?" Kaelith didn't blink. "Violence is the default." The Inquisitor stopped 10 meters away, helmet shimmering with a ripple of defensive shielding. His voice came out modulated, sterile. By decree of the Virean High Council, Princess Kaelith is hereby detained for unauthorized genetic deviation and acts of imperial insubordination. Okay, Ryven said. First of all, I didn't do anything deviant. Yet. Kaelith ignored him. You are not authorized to operate outside the Central Fleet. State your override code. The Inquisitor didn't respond. Instead, his right gauntlet whirred, and a plasma halberd extended with a hiss and a low crackle. Right, Ryven muttered. So that's a no on the code thing. Time to toast. He lifted the disruptor and fired. The bolt hit the Inquisitor dead center and bounced off, scattering sparks. Kaelith fired next. She aimed for the knee joint. The impact staggered the Inquisitor just enough to make him stumble sideways into a forgotten diplomatic refreshment kiosk, which exploded in a shower of powdered nutrient paste and metal trays. Ryven ducked behind a pillar. Did I just shoot the equivalent of a walking tank with a stun gun and expect it to work? Yes, Kaelith replied, which is why I brought the backup. She pressed a sequence into her wrist module. A series of panels in the wall opened. 6 spherical drones floated out, humming in harmony. Battle spheres? Ryven asked, blinking. You brought battle spheres to a diplomatic outpost? One must prepare for contingencies. The spheres launched into formation. Kaelith shouted a Virean command that translated roughly to, apply overwhelming kinetic pressure until subject surrenders or explodes. The spheres obeyed. They swarmed the Inquisitor in a blur of movement and light, slamming into his armor from all sides, pelting him with stinging plasma darts and sonic pulses that made Ryven's teeth itch. The Inquisitor swung wildly, his halberd slicing through the air, but he couldn't pin them down. Note to self, Ryven said. Don't tick off Kaelith. After 90 seconds of concentrated sphere fury, the Inquisitor dropped to one knee. Kaelith fired a final precision bolt into the power junction at his back. The suit powered down with a long mechanical sigh, like a refrigerator giving up on life. Ryven approached cautiously. So we win? For now, Kaelith said, checking her disruptor. But they found us faster than I anticipated, which means someone on the station is broadcasting our location. Well, that's a fun twist. Do we get to interrogate someone? I've been working on my good cop, bad cop routine. I'll be the emotionally unavailable one with snack issues. Kaelith didn't smile, but something about her silence suggested deep concern, possibly tinged with mild snack envy. They dragged the Inquisitor's inert form into a locked maintenance bay. Kaelith activated a field dampener, cloaking the room from external scans. Ryven sat on an overturned supply crate and started flipping through the Inquisitor's confiscated gear. You know, he said, for an empire obsessed with genetic purity, they sure send a lot of muscle to make sure nobody notices the royal heir's got a thing for Terrans. I do not have a thing, Kaelith said automatically. Your battle spheres say otherwise. Kaelith turned to face him. This alliance, this connection, it was never part of the plan. You were meant to be a means to an end. Hey, I've been called worse. Strategic breeding stock is practically a compliment. She paused. And yet? Ryven waited, but she didn't finish the thought. He decided not to push. Instead, he tapped the Inquisitor's visor. Think he's got Wi-Fi? Unlikely. Worth a shot. He poked at the gauntlet's interface and triggered a holographic log. A series of commands scrolled past in sharp Virean script. Kaelith's eyes narrowed. This was no ordinary retrieval mission. Look, he had a termination protocol. Ryven squinted. That looks like, what? A neural decoupler? Yes, meant to erase higher brain functions in selective targets while preserving reproductive tissue. Ryven blinked. That is both horrifying and incredibly specific. They were going to reduce you to a template donor. Well, I feel special. Kaelith stepped back, visibly shaken. This changes everything. They didn't just want control. They wanted to erase the choice entirely. Ryven stood. So what do? Can't go home, can't stay here, can't trust the vending machines. There is one option, Kaelith said. We make it public. Excuse me? My aunt is trying to control the narrative. We flip it. We send a signal across the Alliance grid, show them what's happening. The breach, the termination orders, the truth. Like a galactic press conference, should I wear a tie? They won't believe me alone. But if you speak, because I'm charming, because you're the proof. Ryven sighed. Well, I've never given a rebellion-starting speech before, but I've emceed 2 weddings and a drunken talent show. Close enough. They accessed the station's old diplomatic signal array, patched into the network using Kaelith's override codes and a surprisingly helpful rogue maintenance droid named Bleepo. Bleepo? Ryven asked. Really? The droid chirped. Unit designation stands for Biological Liberation of Executor Protocol Operator. I'm calling him Bleepo. Bleepo beeped proudly. With the array powered, the feed began transmitting. Ryven stood in front of the camera, Kaelith beside him. Hi, he began. I'm Ryven. Human. Not dead yet. That's Princess Kaelith. Yes, that Kaelith. She's also not dead, though a lot of people are trying to fix that. Kaelith spoke next, calm and clear. My empire is committing crimes in secret. They are manipulating genetics for control, not evolution. They wish to eliminate the unpredictable. But unpredictability is the heart of life. Ryven nodded. That's me, Mr. Unpredictable. Honestly, I never thought I'd be doing this. I just wanted a quiet recon job, maybe a cup of coffee that didn't taste like engine oil. Instead, I met her. And now we're being hunted by people who want to use love like a spreadsheet. Let them come, Kaelith said. We are not afraid. Well, she's not afraid, Ryven added. I'm still very much terrified, but I've decided to be brave anyway, which I think counts. They cut the feed. Bleepo word. Transmission complete. Viral propagation at 67% and rising. Ryven turned to Kaelith. So what now? We wait and prepare. For war? For change. A beat passed. Can I still be terrified? Yes. Good, because I think I just saw another Inquisitor on the scanner. The station shook. Not a poetic metaphor. Actual structural tremors, panels vibrating, lights flickering like a rave held inside a malfunctioning toaster. Ryven clung to a handrail that might have been more decorative than useful. Okay, he said, bracing himself, so either we've triggered a seismic protocol, or someone outside just knocked really hard with a Star Destroyer. Kaelith stood by the main console, face calm, fingers flying across the controls. Enemy vessel decloaking. Identification matches the Krex Volar, flagship of my aunt's personal fleet. Ryven squinted at the screen. That ship looks like a murder porcupine. She prefers intimidation over elegance. Mission accomplished. A proximity alert screamed. Defensive systems online. Somewhere deep in the station, Bleepo screamed electronically and deployed 3 drone sentries, one of which immediately flew into a wall. Bleepo, Ryven muttered, you had one job. The comm crackled. Princess Kaelith, came a voice like someone chewing gravel dipped in authority. You have one chance to surrender. You are in violation of genetic containment protocols and sovereign imperial law. Hi, Auntie, Kaelith replied smoothly. Hope the crew's enjoying the broadcast. There was a pause. You won't reach them. The message is already being discredited. Even if you jam it, Ryven said, stepping up beside her. You can't stop the mirror nodes from replicating it. Welcome to the viral age. I'm the meme now. Kaelith blinked slowly. That sentence hurts my ears. Good. Aunt Gravel voice replied with something guttural and imperial sounding, and then promptly cut communications. Outside, the Krex Volar's weapons charged. Inside, the station's systems coughed politely and declared the shield matrix technically operational. Bleepo. Ryven said, this is your moment. Bleepo whirred and deployed a holographic overlay of the station. I can redirect power from life support and diplomatic coffee dispensers to reinforce shields. Done. Ryven said instantly. Let the diplomats drink cold brew. The first volley hit. The shields held. Barely. Kaelith activated a countermeasure, an ancient pulse cannon originally designed for ceremonial salutes. It fired a single shot. It hit one of the Krex Volar's stabilizer fins. The entire ship listed. Well, Ryven said, stunned, we just poked a murder porcupine in the ankle. Kaelith stepped back. That will not hold them for long. They will breach within minutes. Okay, so we do something incredibly stupid, Ryven said. That's my specialty. Go on. We board her ship. Kaelith raised an eyebrow. We take a pod, he continued. Sneak in through her exhaust port. Why do evil ships always have oversized exhaust ports? And we don't take it over. We broadcast. From inside. She will kill us. Only if she catches us. She will catch us. Look, if I'm gonna die, I want to do it inside a space tyrant's comm tower, yelling something heroic while people argue about whether my sarcasm counts as a diplomatic weapon. Kaelith stared at him. Then, after a pause, she smiled. Just barely. I'm in. They launched 30 seconds later. The pod was tiny, cramped. Ryven's knees were in his own face, and Kaelith had to sit cross-legged with one arm wedged against the ceiling. Bleepo hovered in the middle, playing triumphant war music from a forgotten species of battle pigeons. "Envex," Kaelith said through her wrist module. "Prepare the station for remote lockdown. If we fail, destroy the core." "Understood." Initiating dramatic countdown music. Ryven grinned. Envex really knows how to set a mood. The pod hit the Krex Volar hard. No alarms, no countermeasures. Their broadcast had scrambled the flagship's logic systems, and the AI on board was still trying to determine whether Ryven's face counted as a military threat or a fashion accident. They snuck through maintenance ducts. Ryven only got stuck once. Bleepo had to bribe a cleaning droid with a flash drive full of opera. They reached the comm tower. Kaelith accessed the core node. Ryven stood beside her. "Let's finish this," she said. They transmitted everything. The original message, the Inquisitor's protocols, Kaelith's counter-decree. Then Kaelith turned on the camera. "I am Kaelith of the Virean Empire," she said, "and I renounce the lies we were built upon. Our future is not purity, it is possibility." Ryven added, "Also, I would like to not be exploded. Just putting that out there." Across the Empire, across human colonies, the signal flooded. Back on the Krex Volar, alarms sounded. Kaelith turned to Ryven. "They're coming." He smiled. "We bought enough time." The tower doors blew open. Then, the impossible happened. The Krex Volar AI spoke. Override recognized. Imperial Succession Protocol 1 and 18B activated. Heir apparent Kaelith acknowledged as sovereign. Ryven blinked. "Wait, you just took over the ship?" Kaelith blinked. "Apparently." The troops lowered their weapons. The comm system echoed with the AI's updated command. "All personnel, kneel before your new empress." Ryven raised a hand. "Does this mean I have to kneel too?" Kaelith looked at him. "Not unless you want to." "Just checking." 2 weeks later, the Empire didn't fall, but it changed. Kaelith implemented the first open council genetic policy in Virean history. The High Council was dissolved. Her aunt vanished under suspiciously theatrical circumstances involving a runaway laundry bot and several misplaced grenades. Ryven became the first Terran diplomatic envoy to the Virean throne. His official title translated loosely to Royal Wildcard. Bleepo was knighted, Envex was upgraded and given a hobby garden. And one evening, as the twin moons rose over the reconstructed Peace Garden on Lyrae Delta, Ryven stood beside Kaelith watching the stars. "You know," he said, "you never did finish evaluating my genetic compatibility." Kaelith leaned closer. "I've determined the results." "Oh?" "Unpredictable, statistically improbable, annoying. Sounds accurate, and exactly what we needed." Ryven smiled. "So, we okay with that ending?" Kaelith looked up at the stars. "It's not the end." He took her hand. "No, but it's a hell of a beginning." The end